So by and large, the Joker is just seen as the arch nemesis of Batman and a symbol of chaos and madness. But over the course of this video, I'm going to use several stories and prove to everybody watching it that the Joker kind of has a point. So the first story on this list is The Killing Joke, and the origins and twisted philosophy of the Joker are explored in this story, because The Killing Joke introduces us to a failed comedian whose life spirals into tragedy, leading him to become the Joker as we all know and love him. But this transformation is essential to understanding his worldview. But in The Killing Joke, the Joker's belief is that one bad day is all it takes to just push the safest person to lunacy. In fact, his own descent into madness, spurred by a series of unfortunate events, showcases the Joker's perspective on how fragile sanity really is. Because to the Joker, life is random and unjust, and his transformation is just a natural response to this chaotic world. But the Joker's attempt to prove this point by targeting Commissioner Gordon and his daughter Barbara is key to the whole thing, because he shoots Barbara Gordon, which paralyzes her, then he allows his guys to do things to her, then he kidnaps Gordon and subjects him to psychological tortures, which include forcing him to look at pictures of his injured daughter. But these are not just acts of cruelty, they're his way of demonstrating that anyone can lose their sanity under enough pressure. And so throughout The Killing Joke, the Joker mocks the idea of order and sanity. He insists that life is this quote-unquote black and awful joke, and that the only sensible way to live life is without rules. And his actions aim to reveal the chaos and irrationality that lurk beneath society's veneer. But he also believes in the inherent madness that exists within everybody, that society's structures and norms are just illusions that a single traumatic event can easily shatter. And his interactions with Batman highlight this in the sense that they're both products of a tragic event, but they've chosen different paths. The Joker embraces madness, while Batman clings to his order and justice like a superstitious woman clinging to her pearls. But the next story that I want to go into here is The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, because this gives us an introspective and older Joker who basically wakes up after hearing about Batman's return, and the story itself highlights their intertwined destinies. Because the first thing that happens is that the Joker wakes up from a catatonic state, and he immediately goes on a killing spree, pushing Batman to his absolute limits. The Joker's goal here is to provoke Batman into breaking his moral code. He wants Batman to kill him, proving that even the Dark Knight can be driven to madness and murder. And the Joker sees them as inevitable counterparts, destined to clash forever. He believes that chaos and order are inextricably linked, each giving meaning to the other. And so his desire to die at Batman's hands is a testament to his belief in the transformative power of chaos and madness. And so as the Joker embarks on his rampage, his actions are meticulously designed to test Batman's resolve, from poisoning the guests on a talk show to inciting a riot at a county fair. Every move is calculated to push Batman closer to the edge. And so the Joker's final confrontation with Batman in the Tunnel of Love is a twisted ballet of violence and philosophical debate. He taunts Batman, he tries to break his spirit, and then tries to force him into a moment of ultimate weakness. But throughout their battle, the Joker articulates his view that they are two sides of the same coin. He believes that Batman's strict moral code and his own tendency towards anarchy are both responses to the same kind of trauma. In this way, the Joker seeks to prove that even Batman, the epitome of order, can be driven to madness, which would ultimately validate the Joker's worldview. But moving into our next story, Batman, the Man Who Laughs. Not the Batman who laughs, the Man Who Laughs. This is Joker critiquing society, because this story by Ed Brubaker and Doug Mink takes us back to the Joker's early days of crime, offering a deeper look into his critique of social structures and corruption. But the story paints the Joker as a force of nature, intent on exposing the hypocrisy and fragility of Gotham City's elite. But the Joker's rampage is not just about chaos for the sake of chaos. He targets Gotham's prominent figures, unveiling their secrets and then bringing their corruption to light. His actions are a direct assault on the city's upper echelons, aimed at revealing the lies and deceit which all the power is built on. A good example of this, the Joker contaminates the city's water supply, causing widespread panic and then revealing the inadequacies of the city's infrastructure. He also orchestrates the murder of several high-profile individuals, exposing their moral failings in the process. But by doing this, the Joker seeks to show that Gotham's social order is nothing but a facade, easily shattered by a single determined individual. And throughout the narrative, the Joker's dialogue is filled with scorn for the city's attempts to maintain order. He mocks the authorities and then their futile efforts to contain him, which highlights the absurdity and futility of their efforts in the first place. And the Joker's belief in the necessity of chaos is evident as he unleashes a series of attacks designed to destabilize and expose the underlying corruption of Gotham's institutions. But the story underscores the Joker's perspective that society is built on a foundation of lies, and that by tearing down these illusions, he believes he's bringing a brutal honesty to Gotham, forcing its citizens to confront the truth about themselves and their world. And so his actions, while violent and destructive, are aimed at exposing the hypocrisy and corruption that he sees as inherent in not just Gotham's social structures, but social structures in general. And so this leads us into the story Batman: Death of the Family, which was written by Scott Snyder and drawn by Greg Capullo. And this story sees Joker taking on the role as a true agent of chaos, aiming to isolate Batman from his closest allies. Because the Joker kidnaps members of the Bat family, subjects them to elaborate tortures designed to break Batman's spirit, and then demonstrate that his relationships make him weaker. But the Joker's actions in this storyline are driven by his belief that Batman's connections to others are his greatest vulnerability. In fact, he views these relationships as distractions that prevent Batman from reaching his full potential. By targeting the Bat family, the Joker seeks to strip Batman of his support system, forcing him to confront the chaos and darkness that exists within himself. And throughout the narrative, the Joker's perspective on the importance of chaos is clear here. He sees himself as Batman's ultimate test, the embodiment of the chaos that Batman has to continually fight against. And the Joker's elaborate schemes are designed to push Batman to the brink, forcing him to question his reliance on his allies. A really good example of this, the Joker orchestrates a dinner where he claims to have removed the faces of the Bat family members, serving them on platters to Batman. And this grotesque and horrifying act is intended to show Batman the depths of his own vulnerability and dependence on others. In fact, the Joker believes that only through embracing chaos and isolation can Batman actually be the best version of himself. In fact, the Joker's dialogue throughout Death of the Family is filled with this twisted sense of love and admiration for Batman, because he sees the relationship as a dance of madness and order, with himself as the catalyst for Batman's growth. The Joker's belief in the necessity of chaos to reveal true character and strength is in fact a recurring theme throughout the storyline, which highlights his view that Batman's true potential can only be realized through the destruction of his closest bonds. But this takes us into our final story, probably the greatest Joker story that's ever been written, which was called Joker, and it was written by Brian Azzarello, because we see a more grounded and gritty portrayal of the Joker as a crime lord with a warped sense of justice. This narrative offers a deeper look into his rationale, presenting him as a character who believes his actions are a form of brutal honesty in a world full of deceit, because the Joker operates within the criminal underworld with his own code, seeing himself as the true arbiter of justice. He views the world as fundamentally corrupt and unjust, and his actions are aimed at exposing and rectifying these flaws. In fact, the Joker's dialogue and interactions with other characters reveal his belief that his brand of chaos and violence is a necessary evil to balance the scales of justice. And throughout the graphic novel, the Joker's actions are depicted with a sense of purpose and intent. He takes over the criminal underworld, eliminates those he sees as unworthy or corrupt, and his brutal methods are in stark contrast to the hypocrisy and deceit that he perceives in the world around him. For instance, the Joker's interactions with other criminals reveal his disdain for those who operate under false pretenses. He views himself as a necessary force of destruction, bringing a harsh but honest justice to the world built on lies. And so the Joker's belief in the necessity of his actions is evident as he ruthlessly pursues his goals, seeing his violence as a means to an end. And so in the end, for the Joker, madness and chaos are just intrinsic to human nature and society. There is no way to get around it. And that order and structure can never truly exist in the long run, and that by embracing these elements, he believes that he reveals the true nature of the world and its inhabitants. And while his methods are undeniably violent and extreme, they underscore his point that beneath the surface of all this order and sanity lies a world teetering on the edge of chaos, and that only through that chaos will people be their true and honest selves, because in the end, that's what they really are. So let me know what you guys think about this kind of video down in the comment section. Do you guys want to see more videos like it? Because this was fun to make. Let me know, and I will catch you all later. Peace.